Assalamu alaikum. Mitochondria. Mitochondria is an organelle with a double membrane, an outer membrane, and an inner membrane. And between the two membranes is the intermembrane space. Mitochondria generate energy in the form of ATP, which we consider the currency unit of the cell, needed by the body as an energy source in chemical processes. To produce energy, mitochondria need oxygen, which will enter by osmosis through the membrane. Mitochondria produce energy through different processes: oxidative phosphorylation, glycolysis, and Krebs cycle. And we will learn about these processes in detail in biochemistry lessons. And we will also learn that mitochondria produce most but not all of the ATP, because there are some other sources of ATP. The mitochondrion is a semi-autonomous organelle because it has its own DNA and reproduces on its own. And if we talk about the DNA in mitochondria, it is different from the cell's DNA, which is present in the nucleus. The DNA in the nucleus is linear and has helper proteins called histones, while in mitochondria it is circular and does not have histones. Mitochondria divide by binary fission, as in prokaryotes. Actually, the mitochondria are prokaryote-like organelles. Interestingly, mitochondrial DNA is inherited only maternally and not paternally, and we will learn the reason for that in the embryology lessons. On the other hand, mitochondria are the organelle that initiates the process of apoptosis, and we will learn how this happens in the apoptosis lesson. The mitochondria has several functions: energy production, which is mostly in the form of ATP, regulation of apoptosis, heat production. It uses this function in the fetus to warm it. And there are a lot of other things that mitochondria can do. We will learn them when we deep dive into mitochondria in the biochemistry lessons. Let's return to the structure of mitochondria. We said that they have an outer and inner membrane and a space between them. The inner membrane forms the inner folds, and we call them crista. It increases the surface area of the inner membrane and facilitates the process of the electron transport chain that produces energy, which happens on the surface of the inner membrane. And the internal part of the mitochondria is called the mitochondrial matrix. The outer membrane of the mitochondria contains pores that allow the passage of the molecules present in the intermembrane space. Mitochondria are present in the cell in abundance, and the number of mitochondria in the cell varies according to the cell's function and the amount of energy it needs. For example, red blood cells do not have any mitochondria because they do not need energy. And other cells, such as muscles and especially liver cells, contain a very large number of mitochondria because their functions require a lot of energy. In a single cell that contains mitochondria, there is an average of 2000 mitochondria, thus making up 25% of the cell's volume despite its small size. Now let's review the main points of the lesson. Mitochondria are organelles with a double membrane and an intermembrane space. It synthesizes the necessary ATP for the body, using the oxygen that enters by osmosis through the membrane. Mitochondria have many other functions, including the initiation of the process of apoptosis. Mitochondria have their own genetic material, like prokaryotes, and are inherited only from the mother. Mitochondria are abundant according to the function of the cell. This concludes our discussion about the subject. If you want to test your knowledge by solving the questions, continue the video. We said that mitochondria have two membranes and a space between them. Mitochondrial DNA, unlike cell's DNA, is circular and does not need histones, and it was inherited only from the mother. Some cells that do not need energy do not have mitochondria, and we gave an example for this: red blood cells that do not have a nucleus or mitochondria.